Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Monica Verma, Senior Consultant Pathologist at Modern Diagnostics and Research Center, Gurgaon. This is Thyroid Awareness Month, and so today I am going to talk about queries regarding thyroid gland, its pathologies affecting thyroid gland, the laboratory diagnosis, other diagnostic modalities, as well as the interferences and variations which can come in the thyroid hormone results in the laboratory reports. So what are thyroid hormones? These are biochemical analytes which are secreted by thyroid gland, which is situated in the midline neck, and then they are released into the blood under the influence of thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary gland and thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamus. So there is a regulatory mechanism working in our body which maintains the homeostasis and balance of these hormones in our blood. So there is a thyroid hormone axis which is maintaining the balance of these hormones in our blood, and any mild variation in thyroid T3 and T4, which are the hormones which are released from our thyroid gland, any mild variation in our blood levels can cause exponential increase in TSH secretion from the pituitary gland, and this is how the balance is maintained, so that the values the levels of thyroid hormones are not exceeding a particular biological reference range. So now it is very important to know what is the function of these thyroid hormones in our body. The basic function is to maintain the metabolic rate of all the cells of all the organs in the body, including heart, muscle, brain, bone metabolism, as well as digestive functions. And the iodine is the element which is required for production of these hormones. So what are the symptoms of the thyroid dysfunction? Now it can manifest as two most important symptoms. First is like if there is decrease in the level of thyroid hormones, so this is called hypothyroidism. Now in hypothyroidism there is increase in weight, lethargy, muscle weakness, dry skin, dry hair, and in later stages it also affects the fertility in females and causes menstrual disturbances. Whereas the opposite is when there is increase in the thyroid hormones T3 and T4 in levels in the blood, which is called hyperthyroidism. In this case, the symptoms are loss of weight, sweating, palpitations, nervousness, arrhythmias. So when one experiences such symptoms, one should immediately consult a clinician and get oneself tested. So thyroid is a very small gland and which has a very major impact on the functioning of our body systems, and we have to be, and the good part is that it can be diagnosed and treated, and the morbidity can be prevented, and patient can lead a healthy life. So it is pertinent to diagnose this condition related to thyroid pathologies in early stages, so that the proper management can be done. What are the causes of thyroid disease? Now the main and most important is thyroiditis. In thyroiditis, which can be due to any bacterial infection or viral infection, or it can be autoimmune thyroiditis. Now in thyroiditis, the inflammation of thyroid gland is there, due to which there can be alteration in the levels of thyroid hormone or their secretion into the blood. Other causes of thyroid dysfunction can be due to iodine deficiency or iodine excess. Iodine deficiency can be avoided by fortifying our food with iodine, but iodine excess can be seen in certain drugs like amiodarone, which is a cardiac drug, or lugol iodine, which is also present in many cough syrups. So overconsumption of these cough syrups can lead to iodine excess and a state of hyperthyroidism. Then there are certain surgical conditions like nodules or lump in the neck, which can cause discomfort also, and they can be cause of certain morbidities also. Now these lumps, they have to be diagnosed adequately so as to determine whether they are benign or they are toxic nodules or they are carcinogenic nodules. So what are the diagnostic modalities which are available? First and the foremost, most common is laboratory test, and TSH is the initial basic test to be ordered to assess the thyroid function. Then we have other tests like CT scan, MRI, ultrasound of the neck, radioactive iodine uptake scan. All these modalities help in proper diagnosis and management of the thyroid disorders. Now coming to laboratory tests, so what are thyroid function tests? So thyroid function tests include estimation of thyroid stimulating hormone TSH, total and free T3 and T4 in the blood. Now TSH is the basic investigation, and it can give the early warning sign as to whether there is any dysfunction in the thyroid gland. Now there are states called subclinical hyper or hypothyroidism, in which T3 and T4 levels remain normal, whereas TSH level can be a little high or below the normal biological reference range. Now here in these subclinical states, it's very important to pick up these patients and treat them at the earliest, because then the progression of the disease can be either slowed or can be prevented. Then there are certain other tests like anti-thyroid antibodies, which are ordered in autoimmune thyroiditis and which are done to assess whether there are any autoimmune causes for our thyroid problem, like Hashimoto's thyroiditis or Graves' disease. Now Graves' disease is very important to diagnose in pre-pregnant females, as these antibodies, which are against thyroid receptor antibodies, they can pass through placenta and they can affect the fetus adversely. Now coming to interactions and interferences which can occur in our thyroid hormone levels in the blood and which can cause variation in the reports, we'll discuss about these interactions. The main ones are medicines. There are certain medications which are taken for other diseases like cholesterol lowering drugs, corticosteroids, lithium, then amiodarone. They all can cause alteration in the levels of thyroid hormones in the blood. So adequate history has to be provided to the clinician as well as to the laboratory when we are interpreting the thyroid function test reports, whether the patient is taking any medication or not. Now there are certain foods also which can interfere with the synthesis and release of thyroid hormones in the blood. Foods such as cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, Brussels sprouts, peas, these all foods can cause a lower level of thyroid hormones in the blood, and so it is advisable that we vary our diet frequently and blanch the green leafy vegetables and cook them properly to reduce the effect of these goitrogens on our thyroid hormone levels. There are certain biological variations also, like diurnal variations and seasonal variations on the thyroid hormone levels in the blood. The biological variations, seasonal variations, like in winter months the level of thyroid hormones are higher, and whereas in the summer months they are lower. And diurnal variations are very important because they can be as high as plus minus 50% in the TSH level, which is secreted in a pulsatile manner throughout the day, being maximum just before going to sleep, and subsequently it wanes off throughout the day. Whereas on the other hand, T4 thyroxine level, they are maximum from 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning, and they are minimum from 6 to 10 p.m. in the evening. So what is the ideal time to get tested? The ideal time to get your thyroid function test is early hours in the morning when the variation is minimal. So you can come from 8 to 10, between 8 to 10 a.m. in the morning, and you should maintain in the subsequent visits also this time only, so that the variation due to time interval is not there. So the take-home message is that we should stick to one laboratory which uses a standardized method for diagnosing the thyroid function tests, and we should get tested in a fixed time of the day, and we should not vary timings of getting tested, because that can cause variation in the results, which can be significant in pre-pregnant females, where even a minute variation can be a cause of apprehension. Then we should avoid sudden changes in the medication, and if there are any changes, we should adequately inform the clinician and the laboratory about those changes, so that the results are interpreted in that context. So finally, we come to the conclusion, there are some words of wisdom, that we should not rely on a single laboratory value, and we should interpret the test in context with the clinical findings and the physical examination. Variations will be there from one laboratory to another, but then it is not the number which we are treating, it is the patient who we are treating. So having said that, the errors in interpretation occur when patients they try to interpret their own labs. So that is the end of it. I hope I am able to address many of your queries, and still if you have any queries you can post us on Facebook page and we'll be glad to answer them. Stay safe, stay happy and go for vaccination. We have to prevent the second wave. Thank you.